Welcome to the Friends of NPACE podcast, brought to you by Haleon. As a leading global consumer healthcare company, Haleon is dedicated to delivering better everyday health with humanity. Known for trusted brands like Advil, Excedrin, and Voltaren, Haleon leverages science, innovation, and human understanding. Haleon is proud to collaborate with NPACE to educate healthcare professionals about our pain portfolio and the latest healthcare information. For more information, visit www.haleonhealthpartners.com. Hello, and welcome to the Friends of NPACE podcast. My name is Josh Plotkin. I'm the Chief Operating Officer here at NPACE, and today we're speaking with a very special guest, and he is also a friend of NPACE, and he's helping advanced practice providers in their journey of starting their own business and financial management. Frank Randall is a financial advisor and the founder of Medpro Financials, helping advanced practice providers understand their financial picture more clearly and giving them a pathway to feel confident about their finances. Frank, thanks so much for joining us today. How's it going? And appreciate your time.
Amazing. What an intro. Thank you so much. Again, happy to be here. I think, one of the things that we always try to do is promote financial literacy and education. So happy to have the conversation today. Hopefully, it's of value for the people listening and the friends of the show. But yeah, super excited to be here. Thank you so much.
Definitely going to be of value as we sort of mentioned here off the top. Frank works in the financial world and helping advanced practice providers with their financial picture. So we're going to be talking about what he does, what his company does, and how it all relates to advanced practice providers and the crossover there. So Frank, this is where I'd love to start. Tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got into financial planning for advanced practice providers, and sort of the background of everything.
Yeah, amazing. So again, my name is Frank Randall. I'm actually in Rochester, New York. My wife is a nurse practitioner, which will kind of tie into this a little bit. We have 4 kids. I got a 6-year-old, a 3-year-old, and I have two twins, a set of twins that are about 2 months old. So things are crazy in my household right now, but I really wouldn't have it any other way. We started, Medpro Financials about 3 years ago or so. I've been in the financial service industry for probably almost a decade. And the way that I kind of got involved is twofold. One, my wife, she's a trauma nurse practitioner here at the University of Rochester Medical Center. And I also have some really close friends that are PAs and NPs. And I just kind of found over the, years of working with them that, they're brilliant clinicians. They're dedicating their time and their energy to studying their craft, continuing education, but a lot are stressed out about their money. So we try to serve as a financial guide. If you almost think about all the different worlds and all the different people in medicine, there's many different specialists, right? And it's not too dissimilar in the financial world. So you may have financial people in your world that maybe do your taxes or your banker or your mortgage person, but they often don't all come together and deliver, a plan of care. So we try to fill that void, look at everything from the financial world, and really just help people become more confident, with their financial plans. So over the last couple of years, we've partnered with a number of different state associations like you guys, and really just commit to giving back from a financial literacy standpoint. So little long-winded answer, but I'll give my wife some credit, some association, development credit, but it's all come together pretty well.
Oh, I love it. I love that you made mention of, your financial picture, and when you think about it and take a step outside, there are so many people over the course of your lifetime and the big financial decisions that you make that become involved. And it's awesome that what you're doing is trying to bring that all under one roof for folks, and giving them the opportunity to sort of have it all centrally located and working with you guys and with you in particular. I'd love to ask, when it comes to advanced practice providers, what are some of the things that folks might be missing, or what are some of the most important considerations for folks to have as they think about their financial planning?
Yeah, this real quick, as we mentioned, there's many different financial people in the world, and our team, we certainly give guidance on a lot of it, but oftentimes, we're working with other financial professionals that are in our clients' world because, we kind of know our lane, but generally speaking, we are strategic planners. But I definitely noticed some common themes with working with probably, the hundreds of PAs and NPs over the years. They typically have good income, right? So they've worked hard, they make good salaries. Sometimes people, grab extra compensation, whether it's a side hustle, starting a practice, locums, or whatnot. They have student loans, most of them. So we do a lot of work in that student loan education standpoint. But I think the big like theme over and over that we hear is that PAs and MPs tell us, hey, Frank, we're making good money, but, we feel like we should be further along in our financial journey. And that can mean different things to different people. But I say the common theme is, hey, like dual income household, we have some kids, we're making good money, we're putting stuff away in our retirement account, but there's still a gap of like the shorter term goals, of the shorter term things that they're trying to accomplish. So, if that we should be further along is the thing that I hear time and time again. And I tell people comparison is the thief of joy. So let's not compare ourselves to your peers. They may have different situations, but there's definitely some consistent inefficiencies that we see time and time again in that space for sure.
Yeah, I think, it's a great profession for folks to be in. Certainly the work that they do and the care that they provide is paramount. And as you mentioned off the top, sort of their main focus. So when it comes to the financial side of things, not that you lose sight of it, but I do think, and I think it goes beyond healthcare providers. I think
Totally.
anybody who's probably in the age range of 25 to 35, maybe pushing 40 is
Yeah.
probably asking themselves, what are some of the things that I can do to help get ahead and have the clearest picture as possible when it comes to what's going on with their finances. So I want to follow up a little bit more on that. Talk to us about what you do and what MedPro does when it comes to advanced practice providers. Is it more so individuals who are looking to get a grasp on their financial picture? Is it more so folks that are looking to start and potentially open their own business, and how does that
Yeah.
work for them? Or is it also potentially long-term planning and as you get further along in life and all those sorts of things? Or is it everything all
Yeah.
combined?
I say it's a combination of all of them. For those APPs that want to start their own practice at some point, we always start with them as individuals, right? So the core theme is how do we look at you from an individual standpoint? And there are some definite common themes that we try to educate and teach on. The first thing that we do for clients is get them financially organized, right? So I think a lot of people are disorganized in the sense that they have old retirement accounts here, two credit cards here, multiple streams of income. Maybe you're Venmoing your wife money back and forth. Um, you know, it's almost like that junk drawer that's in my kitchen, and there's like paper clips and I don't know, random stuff everywhere, and you just keep the drawer shut. And I think like people have this like disorganization financially where they just keep the drawer shut. So it's silly, but the first thing we do isn't even product or money based. It's let's just get organized, right? Let's have a conversation around your assets, your liabilities, your protection, your cash flow. We have some really amazing like financial organization tools that we make available to our clients. And once we get organized, we really talk about the four domains. If I could paint a picture of your financial world, most people think of assets and liabilities, which are important, right? We'll talk about assets. How do we save more money? How do we invest money in the right places? We'll talk about liabilities. How do we tackle student loans? What's the tax implication of your dollars? Um, but really, the two other domains that we focus on is protection. Think of that as like the roof of your financial house, and then cash flow as the foundation, right? So protection is not fun to talk about, right? We'd rather talk about like investing your money and retiring. But, we have to look at things like what if you get sick? What if you pass away? What if you lose your job? What if you get sued? Right? These are all things that could have drastic impacts on your family. So we'll spend some time educating what benefits do you have through work? What is the gap that exists? And 95% of the time, there's a gap. And then lastly, cash flow, which I think is what most of our clients find the most value in. We really want to help our clients tell their money where to go instead of ask where it went. And we do this by creating what we call the cash flow map, just a conversation around, income, fixed expenses, variable expenses, what's left over. And the last thing I'll say about that before I'll pause, Italian long-winded answers, talk with my hands. But the last thing I'll say is most people don't have a system set up when it comes to their cash flow. And most people get paid, money goes to their checking account, they pay their bills, and then they try to save. And maybe they have a 403b that just automates, which is cool. We like to introduce the concept of a wealth building account. Think of it like a savings account that we are direct depositing money automatically every paycheck into, so you don't even think about it. And so we coach people to figure out, hey, how much should I be saving? How do we build systems in place? Then over time, we start tackling the businesses, retiring. But that's kind of the core foundation really of the work that we do, that they tell us is so impactful.
I appreciate how the analogies and sort of the way that you're giving the clear picture for folks. Certainly the junk drawer one makes sense for folks, and you sort of it's like what's in there, but you don't necessarily know exactly what it is. How much of it do you have left?
Sure.
Do I need to replace something, whatever it might be? So all of that makes perfect sense. When it comes to folks that have interest in working with you, tell us a bit more about what that process is. So you start as you said, you first get organized, but then what comes after that? What's sort of the 6 months, a year in, 5 years in? How are things typically going from that standpoint?
Yeah, so we kind of have a 6-step process that we coach clients through, and as of today, when we're recording this, we're doing a quick website rebrand. So whenever this airs, stay tuned. I probably have a new website coming up, but I'm super excited about that. But really, our process is kind of simple. First is we do we call discovery meeting. It's just to make sure we're a good fit for each other. Right? I want to learn about you, your family. I want to share a little bit about us, what we do. Secondly, our second meeting is really what we call a cash flow meeting. So we're going to take a peek at a pay stub, a budget worksheet, look at old retirement accounts, look at your employee benefits. And it's really like organizing that junk drawer, right? It's like, oh my gosh, I've had these like paper clips in here for like a decade. Like I probably should get new ones, right? So like we'll look at the junk drawer, we'll begin to organize it, and we'll talk about what gaps exist. And the core focus of that meeting is to make sure you're not missing anything that matters. And we do those 2 meetings complementary for everyone. Then after that, if it makes sense to work together, we kind of enter what I call a season of strategy and education. We'll take some time to do some education and strategy on the protection piece. Let's look at your long-term disability insurance and have some clarity around what happens if you're out of work for 2 years. Like, how does the mortgage, utilities, and groceries get paid? What happens if you pass away or get into a car accident, right? So we'll talk about the protection part of the plan, with the main goal of just knowing what and having some awareness around it. We'll then have some strategy around investments. Where do we put money from a tax standpoint? Where do we put money from a liquidity standpoint? And liquidity just means access to money. So oftentimes we'll see, providers saving 20% of their income, but it's all going towards a 403b because that's what the, retirement person told them to do. Not that that's inherently wrong, but if you have shorter term goals like, buying a house, starting a practice, taking the kids to Disney, like you can't pull money out of that account. So we want to make sure we're saving in the right places. Then the last 2 steps are really implementing and, putting these services and products and strategies in place. Sometimes, we will handle those directly. The analogy that I make again is, we'll write some prescriptions for you, right? And sometimes we'll fill those prescriptions in-house. Sometimes we're going to have to refer you out to a CPA or like a car insurance person, right? But we'll write out that plan of care, fill some scripts, refer out some others. Then we kind of get on a tentative review schedule. And some people tell us, Frank, don't bother me unless there's a problem. Some people say, Frank, I want to meet every 2 months. Really just kind of depends on what's going on in your world. But and sometimes we zig and zag for sure, as you can imagine, but that's kind of like that core engagement process that we coach. So
I think that's great. You have the process and you have the steps to be followed, but reality is that everybody has their own personal financial picture. So lots of things are circumstantial.
Yeah.
Lots of things are certainly contingent upon what folks are bringing to the table. But the fact that you all have the ability to be able to work with folks and get them to understand that would be great. I have a few more questions here as we
Yeah.
wrap as we get towards the tail end.
Yep.
If there was one piece of advice that you would give to advanced practice providers to get a leg up in their financial picture, financial journey, what would that be?
Great question. There's many, but I guess the main one I would say is have clarity around your cash flow. And so many people just go through life, money's going into different buckets, money's automated to this account, money is commingled and mixed between different banks or whatnot. So you have to have clarity around your cash flow. You have to set up a system around it. And again, I would, again, not official financial advice, but I would highly recommend people consider, saving 20% of their income into what I call long-term savings, not their bank account, right? Because your bank account is saved to spend, meaning you're going to spend it on a vacation, a house, all the fun things. But that long-term savings is retirement accounts, investment accounts, potentially insurances, savings accounts. So build that system in place as 1A, and then real quick, 1B would be to consider long-term disability insurance to protect your income. So many people are underprotected. And so the question to ask yourself is, gosh, if I'm about to work for a year and a half, like how are the bills going to get paid? And oftentimes it's not as much as you think. So those are probably 1A and 1B, I would say.
Excellent. Much appreciated on that front. And if folks are interested in working with you and finding out more about how they can get involved with the services that you provide, how should folks get in touch and what are the best ways for them to do that?
Yeah, so our practice is virtual. I'm out of Rochester, New York. We have a partner right in Boston. We have clients all across the country, so it's been really amazing to impact more people that way. Three main ways. So MedPro Financials is our website. We have a lot of educational information on there. I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. I post every day. You can search Frank Randall. And last month, I finally launched a MedPro Financials Instagram. So we're slowly building that, trying to put out content there. So, what do they say? Like, follow, subscribe. I don't know, but
There you
do the
go.
things, I guess. But it's where
Love
to
it.
find us. Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, that's fantastic. So be sure to check out their website. Also, if you're somebody that's listening to this in the NPACE world, MedPro is an official partner of
Yeah.
NPACE. So they're listed on our website. There's some information there. If you go to the partners and perks section, you'll see more details and a full page that has Frank's contact info and some additional resources for folks. And also, Frank and his team were just with us last week. We had a great
Yeah.
event down in Cape Cod, so I wanted to thank you guys for being with us
Yeah.
at the event, as well as your counterpart Dylan, who is there staffing it. So
Yeah.
MedPro is with us. They are
Yeah.
they are here to provide advanced practice providers affiliated with NPACE with the financial information and resources that they need, and we're really excited about A, doing this podcast, and B, everything that they're providing to our audience and what they have going on. So, Frank, want to give you an opportunity. Anything else you want to plug? Any final words for the audience here as we come towards the home stretch?
Yeah, I would just say, I appreciate all that this community does. I mean, they're the ones that are in the trenches oftentimes in the medical system. I see it firsthand every day. So just expressing gratitude for the work that you all do. And, we just want to help make your financial plans more confident than less confident. And yeah, I just appreciate, being here. Thanks so much, Josh.
Pleasure is always great to see you, Frank, and connect. A big thank you to him and the entire MedPro team, and we're grateful for you sharing your insight. All right, for our audience, I have a few things that I have to read here, so bear with me as we're going to do it right now. So this material contains the current opinions of the presenter, but not necessarily those of Guardian or its subsidiaries, and such opinions are subject to change without notice. This podcast is for informational purposes only. It is not to be construed as tax, legal, or investment advice. Although the information has been gathered from sources believed to be reliable, please note that individual situations can vary. Therefore, the information should be relied upon only when coordinated with individual professional advice. Guardian, its subsidiaries, agents, and employees do not provide tax, legal, or accounting advice. Consult your tax, legal, or accounting professional regarding your individual situation. registered representative and financial advisor of Park Avenue Securities, LLC, OSJ 600, Delaware Avenue, Buffalo, New York, 716-817-7109. Securities and products and advisory services offered through PAS, member FINRA, SIPC, financial representatives of the Guardian Life Insurance Company of America, New York, New York. PAS is a wholly owned subsidiary of Guardian. Medpro Financials is not an affiliate or subsidiary of PAS or Guardian. CA insurance license number 4128184, submission number 8957624.1, expiration date of June 2028. And be sure to check out the Friends of NPACE podcast. All of our episodes are available on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. And everything going on NPACE, npace.org is the place to find all of that out. We are an ANCC accredited provider of continuing education, offering in-person conferences, online programs for advanced practice providers, and we welcome you to visit npace.org for more information on everything NPACE, and be sure to visit the Partners and Perks page to learn more things on everything MedPro. Frank, always a pleasure to see you.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure. Thanks, guys.
All right. To our audience, take care. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you next time on the Friends of NPACE podcast. There might be on their team, but I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm not familiar.
if you're open to it, yeah, we got capacity. We love the impact, and you know, I think
Excellent.
the practice owners are definitely really important. We always start with the personal stuff, but I can anecdotally real quick. There's a client that we've been working with for about 4 years. It was two psychiatric and nurse practitioners, and we helped them set up, some buy-sell planning and some stuff. And thank God we did, because they broke up, and if they didn't have that stuff in place, it would have been
Geez.
much more dirty than it was, or not dirty, but messy. So yeah, there's a lot of value in that space. So.
All right. I will get you connected with them in an email and let you be able to take it from there.
That works for me. Thanks so much, Josh.
All right. Great to see you, Frank. Have a great
Likewise.
rest of the day, and we'll be in touch soon. I'll let you know when this is going to come out.
Oh, one last question. When it's added, can you send me the file just so I could splice anything that was worth it on my end?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll put the file will be in a SharePoint folder, so you'll be able to have access and download directly.
Okay, cool. I appreciate it.
All right. Take care.
Thanks.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.